plugged in.
Yeah, that's all you need to do.
Well, the projector, it seems like it's off.
Oh, okay, got it. Ah,
Okay, my mic should be working through Zoom. If you can hear me, just give a thumbs up.
yeah.
Just
What
in
you need
case.
to do, because it's
Yeah.
the HDMI laptop, right? So you need
Yeah.
to just fix that in front of that.
Okay, nice. Okay. Hold on, let me pull up the presentation. Spoilers, don't look. Does it work?
Yeah.
Oh! Okay, how do I turn off the lights?
Yeah.
Is it this, the dimmer?
This. Yeah, you can use the dimmer to turn that.
That did
It's
nothing.
not working. Let's just.
Ooh, game development. Okay, so welcome guys. We're going to be doing a general overview of game development. This is not going to get into any technicals, but we're going to have a short demonstration about Godot. That's going to be about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and we're going to be using Git as well and a few other things. But for now, we're going to be doing a slideshow. 1 second, I need to get a timer started so I don't like ramble. Okay, so who am I? I'm Hayden Gray. I'll talk about these images in a second. I was born and raised in Arizona. Currently am in school for computer engineering. I've been making games since I was 11 years old. I started out with Roblox Studio, then about a year later, I went over to Unity, and about 4 months ago, I jumped over to Godot. I've made a few games, they're on itch. If you want to look for them, I can link you the itch page that I have on itch.io. And I'm making a game right now, it's about to go on Steam. So up here, that first image is me in Unity like 2 years ago making a Super Hexagon clone, if you know what that game is. And then that middle one is me making it's a little model for a house that I made for a game where you have to like find a bomb in your house before it blows up. And that bottom one is just some scary office space I made. So what we're going to cover today, getting started with game development, game jams, what they are, how to get participating in them, developing Git and using GitHub, deploying Git and using GitHub, planning your game, Godot basics, and publishing your game. So here's some things you should know. I recommend you participate in a game jam. Reasons you should join one. First of all, what is a game jam? A game jam is a short game development competition, usually from 2 days to 2 weeks long. They usually have a theme or some sort of limitation that you have to follow, and they're ranked. They're competitions. So reasons are pretty nice is that you get to go through the development cycle quickly if you join a game jam. You'll have a game finished in 2 days if you do the 2-day game jams. You'll have the whole experience. You're going to get a lot of feedback. People will rate your games depending on different categories and leave comments. It encourages creativity. These limitations are really good for making you think outside the box and not just copying other games that you see because you have to follow a certain thing. You're going to meet other devs. There's usually a Discord service that they have where you can collaborate and you can join groups. Sometimes there's a mandatory group of 4 people that you have to do to be able to participate in these. And you'll get a lot of experience. You'll get some games done and finished and have some projects under your belt. And sometimes there's prizes for winning, so those are pretty nice too. So if you want to join a game jam, the best site is itch.io. It's very good for game jams. You can do some in-person ones, but those are physical. If you want to do it online, itch.io. So make sure you have an itch account, signed in. You go to the jams tab. You can find a game jam that you like. Make sure you read the rules before you join, and just turn in the game by deadline. And they have this super nice chart here. So at the top, they have all the featured jams, all the big ones that you most likely want to participate in, and some info about them. Then down here, you have this beautiful Gantt chart timeline view of all the jams going on right now. Use version control. It's an absolute must. I recommend Git over any other version control. Unity has a built-in version control, and I've used that all the way up until it corrupted all my data because it wasn't that good. It's not trustworthy. So definitely use Git. It's way better than any other type of version control, and you're likely going to need to know Git anyways if you're getting a job in computer science. So we're going to demonstrate Git a little later. Your coding journey will be shown on GitHub if you choose to publish your repository to GitHub. They'll have this nice chart that shows all the commits that you've made, and it's really nice. GitHub Desktop is really easy to use. I wouldn't recommend using just like Git by itself and going through terminal. It's just a lot of hassle for no reason. Version control protects your progress. Obviously, if you delete all your files, you can undo it. You can undo any mistakes or changes made. If you can have branches and stuff, and you can have a lot of customizability over that. And I still recommend using backups to external drives or cloud. Don't rely on Git for everything. So GitHub, show off your coding. So this is Linus Torvalds' GitHub page. He's the creator of Git. And as you can see, it's very impressive. It's a lot of green. The green is just how many commits per day. The more green, the more commits. Oh, we have a lot of people coming in. Should I restart it? I mean,
the poster was wrong. It said MS instead of MC.
Oh,
Yes.
dang. Well, we're only 5 minutes in. Should we just start from the beginning again?
If you want to, yeah.
Do you guys think we should do that for the new people? Or just, I'll go through it quicker the second time around. Okay? We're going to go rewind it. I'm going to go a lot quicker this time because a lot of people just came in. Sorry about the poster being incorrect. Oh, I wonder how many other people aren't here because of that poster.
There were only 5 of us in that room when.
Okay.
So,
Anyways, I didn't actually,
so more could show up, but for now.
oh, that's not good. They're going to come in and, oh, that's
Austin
nice.
posted on the Discord.
Yeah. Yeah.
I spotted that there's no time, but I
Yeah.
didn't spot that there is like no.
Yeah.
The movement was also done. Building is incorrect.
Okay. We're going to go through this a lot more quickly this time because it's only been 5 minutes. Actually, it's a good opportunity. By a show of hands, who's interested in game development? Just raise your hand. Oh, this is way nice now. I feel a lot more confident in my talk now. Okay, so we're talking about game development. This is a general overview. We're having the technical stuff next week, so we're not going to be doing too much today. Who am I? I'm Hayden Gray. I was born and raised in Arizona, currently in school for computer engineering. I've been making games since I was 11, started in Roblox, moved to Unity, now I'm on Godot. I made a few games that are on itch. The next game that I'm currently making is going on Steam. The top image is me working on a super hexagon clone. The middle one is just me making a model for a game where you have to find a bomb in a house before it blows up, and that one's just a creepy office I made. Okay, what we'll cover today, getting started with game development, game jams, what they are and how to get into them, deploying Git using GitHub, planning your game, Godot basics, publishing your game, things you should know, participate in a game jam. Yeah, sorry, I'm still going quick, but reasons you should join one. Game jam's short development competition. Who here knows what a game jam is? By a show of hands. Okay, a few of you. Basically, a game jam is a competition where you get to go through, you make a game in a very short amount of time. You get to go through the development cycle very quickly. That's one of the main benefits. You get to experience the whole part of it, or all the parts of the whole. You'll get a lot of feedback. There's lots of people that will message under your game, rate it, depending on different categories, and just give it general advice. Encourages creativity. There's usually some limitations or themes that you have to follow in your game jam, and that makes you think outside the box. You get to meet other devs, and you get to get experience. There's group chats that you can join people with, and get some games under your belt. And sometimes there's prizes for winning. Okay, how to join a game jam? Go to itch.io. Make sure you have an itch account. Go to Games Jam tab and find a game jam you like. Read the rules, click join. Turn in the game by deadline. This nice chart here. So up here, sorry, it's just I have to do all this again. Top games these are the top game jams. These are all the featured ones, all the cool ones that you want to, probably want to join these ones. But if you want something else, you can look down here and it's a very beautiful, calendar view. Okay, use version control. I recommend Git over any other version control. I used Unity's built-in version control and it corrupted my data, so I wouldn't recommend that. Just use Git. You're going to need to use Git on the job. Your coding journey will be shown on GitHub. GitHub Desktop is very easy to use. I wouldn't recommend using the terminal or anything for Git. It just adds complexity. Version control protects your progress. You can undo any mistakes or changes made. and I still recommend using backups to external drives or cloud. Okay, we are back to where we were. Show off your coding. So this is Linus Torvalds' GitHub page. If you don't know who he is, he made Linux and GitHub, or he made Linux and Git. So this is a GitHub page. This is a calendar view. Columns are weeks, and then it goes throughout the whole year. The green is how many commits he made or how much code he's written, and the black is meaning that he wrote less code. So the more green, the more better. And this is my GitHub page. So who would you hire? I've been coding pretty much every week for the past few years, but I just didn't put it on Git, and now it doesn't look that impressive on GitHub. So if you're going to be coding, might as well just spend the extra minute every day to just put the commit on there, and it'll do miles, because after a year of that, you're going to look like the top guy. So commit often, publish to GitHub, show off your work. Okay, things to know number 3. There's no best game engine. A lot of people ask this, what is the best game engine? What is the best programming language? No such thing exists. So we're gonna get a we're gonna get a big chart here. Don't worry, we're gonna go over it pretty quickly. Unity on the very far left is the one I've been using for the most time. It's pretty good for 3D. I wouldn't recommend it for 2D too much, but if you really want to, you can do it without too many problems. It's great for beginners. There are tons of tutorials and resources about Unity that you can do. It's probably the most beginner-friendly game engine I've ever seen. Documentation is very easy to read, and there's plenty of it. A big problem, though, is the pricing. They recently changed the pricing model to be what many people would consider evil. So the company's pretty untrustworthy. Even though they did revert that change, a lot of people don't have trust in the company anymore, so a lot of developers are leaving. Godot is what most of the developers are moving to now. It's mainly for 2D. It can do 3D pretty good, but it's very lightweight and robust.
So people are probably posting questions in the chat, I guess.
Oh, dang. Well, that's the thing. I can't exit it. Can you read it on the Zoom?
If I can log in my laptop.
If you can log in and then
I
just
can
have the
log in.
phone here so I can read questions. I'm going to continue for now, though. So Godot's lightweight and robust. It's like under a gigabyte, and it can do a lot of things. It's kind of more on the low-level side of things. And the best part about Godot is it's open source with the MIT license. You can do absolutely anything you want with it. You can open up the code in the engine, and you can change it if you want. You can do whatever. You can clone it. You can sell it. They do not care what you do with it, and you have full control over that. If there's a bug in the engine that you don't like, you can fix it. It's up to you. So a lot of developers are joining it. Unreal Engine, not my cup of tea, but a lot of people like it. It's great for high fidelity graphics. A bit of a steep learning curve. They do have blueprints, which is like you can code with like nodes and stuff. I wouldn't recommend it. I would just use C++. It seems like it's not too efficient. It's basically free. If you make under $1 million, you don't have to pay a penny to them. It's mostly for professionals in AAA, I see. It's not really indie friendly. Game Maker I don't really know much about at all. It's made for 2D. You basically can't do 3D with it. It's a very bad idea. It's easy for beginners, has decent pricing. I can't tell you too much more. The interesting stuff are these last 2 columns. RenPy, RPG, Mako, Roblox Studio Plus. These are all very unique. They're specialized for a specific genre. So for example, RenPy is only visual novels. You cannot make anything else with RenPy. RPG Maker is only RPGs. You cannot make anything else with them. And Roblox Studio is Roblox games. Simple enough for a child. You have a question?
I was about to talk about RPG Maker. VX Ace is actually available for free on Steam right now.
Oh, okay.
As far as I know. I don't know if it's still available for free, but I
Yeah.
think it's currently available for free.
Okay. That's nice to know. Well, I didn't know that. Anyway. Simple enough for a child for most of these types of game engines. Some of these you don't even need to code. Roblox Studio is the one I have experience with because I've been using that. You just drag and drop most of it. I've been doing coding in Roblox Studio, but it's not required. You can other people can make assets, you just drag and drop it in. So It's pretty quick to actually make stuff in Roblox Studio. You can't do too much with it, but it's so fast for prototyping. I would actually strongly recommend using Roblox Studio for your prototyping phase because it's super quick. Problem is restrictive pricing. Roblox Studio doesn't even pay you with real money. They pay you in Robux. So I wouldn't recommend trying to make money off of Roblox Studio. I don't know how RPG Maker and RenPy work. I don't know if they take a cut or whatnot, or if it's, you pay up front. Custom engine is the most fun because it's extremely difficult, but you can make anything you want. It's all up to you. Who needs a game engine? You own the rights to all of it. You have full customizability over it, and you're going to learn a lot about coding if you do your own game engine. It's going to look very impressive on your resume. Here's a few extra tips. It's going to take a lot longer than you think to make your first game. Take your game, think about how long it's going to take to make everything, multiply that by 4, because it's going to take 4 times longer. You're going to hit a lot of barriers that you're not going to see ahead of time, and it's going to take a lot longer. You're going to be doing a lot more than just programming. You're going to be making art. You're going to be making music. I'm assuming that you're doing this by yourself. And even if you have like 3 other people on your team, you're still going to be doing more than just programming. You're going to be a level designer. You're going to be marketing the game if you want it to sell. The list goes on. It's endless. First game probably won't succeed. It's kind of obvious, but some people really think this. Like, there's games like Cuphead and Half-Life, technically. It's like the first game that a studio releases, massive hit, but there's a lot of survivorship bias in this industry. For every game you see that's a huge hit, there's about 1,000 that are complete failures. Don't make your dream game your first game, partially because it won't succeed, but secondly, you're going to get very attached to the idea if it's like your dream game, like, oh, this is the one. And you're not going to see any flaws ahead of time because you're going to be kind of blindsided. It's going to be too attached to it, and it's going to really bite you later. Start small. Make a clone game, really. Make Super Hexagon clone, Geometry Dash, like a tower defense game. Nothing crazy because it's going to be a lot harder than you think to make a very simple game. Don't give up. There's a lot of people on Steam. They release one game, it fails, and then they never release another game. And it seems there's trends that say that the studios that are successful usually only get that success after their like 3rd game on Steam. But if you only do one game on Steam, it's not gonna be that good. Or sorry, if you do just one game on Steam, you're bound to fail. Obviously, if you do 3, you're more likely to succeed. Don't get ahead of yourself. You're not going to make Elden Ring. You're not going to make the next Elder Scrolls, anything like that. Don't make your art assets before the code is finished. There's a lot of people. There's people that are like, oh, I'm going to make this beautiful 3D model of this car with all these textures, and it can't even move forward. So like, once you realize that you don't know how to make a car, then you're going to have to throw all that out. Planning your game. This is a lot more important than people think. A lot of people skip this stuff. So we're going to go over the few steps or the few phases of planning your game, starting with the idea. Your ideas suck and they do not matter. Do not get attached to your ideas. The execution is 90% of it. You can have a terrible idea and execute it well, and it's going to be great. If you have a great idea and you don't know how to execute it, you have nothing. It's completely useless. Your ideas usually aren't even that good in the first place. Not to be harsh, but your ideas are not really that good. It's more the execution, and your ideas will get better with experience once you start making games because you'll know how and why ideas work and don't work. When you're just starting out, you kind of really don't see that, and you can only really gain that with experience. Don't hold on to your ideas too much. Once again, execution is more important. If people hold on to their ideas too much, they're going to be blindsided a bit. Did you get the...
Yeah, I got the chat. The problem is...
Oh, is there a mic somewhere?
Yeah, some people want to talk and they...
Oh.
So we'll see.
Okay.
Of the volume.
Okay. Make sure you actually execute, or actually can execute your ideas.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, it's working now.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
It's easier because monitoring the chat doesn't really work.
Yeah. Yeah.
so much when you're presenting, right?
Yeah. So is everything good on your end?
Yeah, it's good for me.
Okay.
There's a couple other people. Well, there's one other person in here now. There was another person. I don't know where they went.
Okay. We're good to continue?
Yep.
Okay. If you can't execute ideas, obviously your game's not going to be finished. So just make sure that you know, you don't have to know about everything or how to do everything, but just, make sure you know that it's within your grasp to achieve. So game design documents. This is the design document for Diablo. We're not going to read over it, but this is just an example of one and how to make one. A design document is just a document obviously stating your game. You should fill out everything that would be included in your game, from code, like the code, the art, the assets, gameplay, how the systems are going to work, even the music. It really depends on the game, but don't leave out details. If you have blank spaces in your design document, that leaves room for you, coding, and then halfway through, you realize that these two ideas are impossible to have together, and then you're going to have to pivot from there. It's not going to be fun. So make sure you have all the details down and make sure that they all match up. Anyone should be able to make your game with this document. You should be able to give this document to anyone else. I should be able to hand this to you, and you should be able to make a game out of it that is what I envisioned. There shouldn't be really variation in it. Some people are against game design documents. There's more of a go with the wind, just it's like your canvas, just start coding and making whatever you think's fun, and you get to follow the fun. And that does work, but I think when you're starting out, you shouldn't do that because you won't really know you won't have the insight to see if a pathway you take would be good for you or not. Prototyping. So this is the prototype for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And it doesn't look like the game at all. These are only for testing your ideas. They're not supposed to be, representative of your final game at all. They're only made to test the core of your game. They're supposed to be made as quickly as possible. Don't care about good code or anything. It could be terrible and it could be buggy, as long as your ideas are tested. It doesn't have to look anything like your final product. It only has to act like it. So I'm going to talk about this for a sec. Breath of the Wild is a 3D game, and obviously this is 2D. The main thing they wanted to test in this prototype were materials interacting with each other. So if a fire touches a tree, the tree will burn. If rain pours on the tree while it's on fire, it'll diffuse, and then the fire, the tree will still be there, the fire's gone, stuff like that, wind. So that's the main thing they were testing. They didn't need to add, they have combat, but it's super basic. They don't have all these mechanics and stuff they see in the final game, because that's not what they needed to test. Scheduling. This is the Gantt chart for Diablo. Make a plan with an end date. If you don't have an end date, you're probably not gonna finish your game in any reasonable amount of time. I've seen many times where people have been making this their first game for 3 years. Don't do that. Keep it like 1 month, maybe 3. Break it down into steps. Obviously, you can see here, they're breaking down into, these are very broad steps. They probably, for internal development, they have a whiteboard or something with a bunch of super specific stuff. Because this is for the pitch, so they don't really have it all down. So they got like cinematics, titles, interface, structure, stuff like that. Just breaking down into steps. Know what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. If you don't know what you're going to do, first of all, you're never going to get it done. And know when you're going to do it. And also consider the order of what you're going to do very carefully. Once again, if you're making a rhythm game, you should make the music around the same time you're making the levels. If you're not doing that, you should probably make the music last, because the music's not too important in a game that isn't a rhythm game, Make a Gantt chart, obviously. Okay, committing to the plan. Once you got your plan, make sure you actually follow through. Some people don't do that. It's kind of obvious, but motivation might be difficult for some, so it's important to manage it. You're juggling a lot of stuff in this when you're making a game, so making sure that you can manage your motivation, because it might feel a lot slower. What the heck? Might feel a lot slower when you're actually in the development phase. You might hit a brick wall and have to change course. This happened to me a few times. I'm making a game and I realize I can't do this one thing at all. It's like, I have him jump and he just keeps going up into the sky. How do I get them back down? I don't know. And it takes maybe you have to restructure your whole code base, or maybe it's just one small bug fix or grammar error. You really don't know with these things. Last 20% of the project will take 50% of the time. My dad said this. He made a video game, and he told me this, and I thought it was good advice. The last 20% is mostly just polish, because you have all the mechanics of your game done, and all that's left is just making it feel right, which is kind of the hardest part, because you're in the super position where it's like my game is basically done, but it's so far from done. All the mechanics are down, everything on an objective level is finished, but like it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like a finished game. What do I do? So that's going to be the hardest part. The game's done, now what? Let's say hypothetically your game is done. We got to publish it. As long as people can play it, you're now a game developer. Congratulations. You can use any medium of distribution, but I would recommend Steam and itch. They're the best possible options right now. Steam is the most popular, but has a few barriers to entry. First of all, you must pay $100 up front to get into Steam. But if you make 1,000 sales, it's either 1,000 sales or $1,000 worth of sales, and they'll give you your money back, which is pretty nice. Steam takes a 30% cuts of all sales through its platform, and it needs to be approved by Steam. They're going to look at your game, download it, make sure there's no memory leaks or it's not a virus, and then they approve it, and this process could take up to a month. It's just very easy to set up, and it's very indie friendly, so we're going to be using that, and we'll be demonstrating that. And they can run games in browser, and they don't take any cuts of your money. Okay, marketing. Make a trailer for a game if you want to market it. I mean, this is optional. You don't have to market your game, but if you want to make money off your game, I would recommend making a trailer, posting it on social media, Reddit, Twitter, I guess it's X now, YouTube, something like that. Join a Steam festival. This is very important. Steam Next Fest is probably the best way of getting eyes on your game. A lot of people don't know about this. Steam festivals are very good. So Steam Next Fest, it happens every, I believe, February, June, and November, I believe. 3 times a year.
Is it an in-person festival or is it online?
It's online. It's on the Steam store page. Okay, and you're gonna submit a demo to your game. You're gonna need a demo that isn't your full game. You're gonna submit that. You're gonna need the Steam page up, and that's gonna take a month, obviously, to get a Steam page set up. Then you need to submit it a month before the actual festival happens, and you should be messaging, like emailing streamers and stuff, and like advertising as much as possible. Get people to wishlist it, because when this festival starts, you're gonna be featured on like the front page of Steam. As soon as people open it, you're gonna be right there, and during that period, you want to get as many wish lists as possible, because they'll determine your sales. About like 30% of all wish lists will convert to sales. Tell your friends, if you want your friends to play it, tell them. Reach out to streamers. Obviously, you could cold email. Some of them might have some system you can go through. Or you could get a publisher. I wouldn't recommend this unless you're very serious about your game and think that's really going to work. Publishers usually... if you get a good publisher, you're great. Like, you're going to make a bunch of money and you're going to be just focusing on your development. But if you get a bad publisher, you're screwed. Like, they're going to suck your money dry and you're going to get nothing and you're going to be worked to death. So be very careful with getting a publisher, but if you do it right, you're going to be great. So here's the conclusion. Game dev is fun. I got into game dev because I love games. It allows me to express myself in a language I understand well. Join us next week for a deep dive into Godot. And also join the Discord and tell us what you want to see in the next presentation. Here's some resources that I would recommend. Develop.games, that's the full URL, nothing else. It's a guide for new game devs about all the tools available. It's a very good, it's just a one-pager. It just tells you everything you need for every tool that you need for music, art, game engine, and it tells you what experience you need. Spoiler alert, it's none. You don't need any experience to get started. CatLikeCoding.com, very good coding tutorials for Unity and Godot. Anywhere from the most basic to making a sine wave to doing full shaders and render pipelines. HowToMarketAGame.com. The guy who made this actually lives in Tucson. He gives advice on how to market your game on Steam. We're not gonna, I don't know. marketing is a whole different beast. It's very complex, and I don't know too much about it, so you should probably go to him instead of me if you have any advice on marketing. And then my username on Discord is HaydenGray0. Message me on Discord, and I'll be happy to help you. Thank you. So we're going to go over, you think we can go over a demo for a bit, right? We have time for that? My boys, what's up? Okay, so we're going to make a new Godot project. Let's assume that you downloaded Godot. I'm just going to assume you know how to download an app off a browser. They do have an online version of Godot for the editor. I wouldn't recommend that, just download it. So we're going to go.
One interesting thing, if you're downloading on Windows, Godot doesn't need to be installed to your machine. It just runs like portable.
Oh, just directly,
So don't
wow.
be like, if you download the zip like off their website, you'll extract it and you'll open up the engine. Don't be weirded out by the fact that it like doesn't guide you through some install or something. You just run the exe and it just works.
That makes sense because it's so light. It's under a gigabyte. So we're gonna go to Godot. Missing project. Ignore that. I was doing some tests. So we're gonna hit the create button here. This is not the actual like editor or anything. This is just your file screen. We're gonna hit create. And we're gonna call this demo. For project name, there's 3 different rendering types like forward plus, mobile, and compatibility. I would just stick to forward plus. If you're going for mobile, only do mobile. But if you're doing like consoles and like Nintendo Switch and like some phones, I would do compatibility. But if you're just sticking to like PC, you're fine. There's also version control metadata. I don't actually know what that is.
It lets you, if you start it with Git version control metadata, instead of having to create a new Git repository, you can just open your project as a Git repository in GitHub Desktop.
Okay, so
it will automatically ignore certain like files that don't need to be.
That's perfect because apparently I've been doing that correctly the whole time. So because it was default. If you click none, what we're gonna do is not gonna work. Thank you for that. I actually didn't know that. I thought it just automatically had it support no matter what. I didn't know this drop down would change that. Okay, we're gonna hit create and edit. This will create the project. Oh dang, where did I put the file? Wait, I don't know where the directory was. Let me find it. It's probably projects, Godot. Nope. Okay, we're gonna redo this because I don't know where the path is. Actually, I could.
What's the default to documents?
I changed it. I think.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, it's in users HaydenGray demo. Got it. Okay, it's right here. Make sure you know where the directory is. Okay. So we have a project here. Whatever. We're gonna first get GitHub Desktop set up with this. I'm gonna assume you already downloaded a GitHub Desktop. You know how to download an app. GitHub Desktop. We're gonna launch it. Sign into. Yeah, remove. I don't care about that. Sign in with GitHub. Make a GitHub account if you don't already have one, and you go up here, and you click this add button, and then you do create a new repository, and then we're gonna call it just test, and we're just test for the description, and the local path. We're gonna make the path where our one layer above where our thing is. So like this is our project. We're gonna have it here, right? And we're gonna open that, and we're gonna name it the folder that we're actually doing. You have a question?
Yeah. Can you show us again how we get to the directory?
Yeah.
And how you got to this GitHub spot?
Yes. Okay. So with the directory, when you create the new project, or here, let me show you. So let's say you forgot where it was, like I did earlier. You reopen Godot, right? And it'll say right here, users HaydenGray demo. So that's my directory. Obviously, that's a Mac directory, but it'll be the Windows equivalent. So that's where you find it on Godot, wherever you did it.
Click the little icon right there, the little file icon. It might.
Ooh, awesome. We got a pro here. Okay, we got a pro here. So yeah, you can click on that and that takes us there. That's awesome. So GitHub Desktop, let's assume you download it and you just open it from wherever you download it from. That's Discord. What am I typing? Okay, you open GitHub Desktop and pretty sure when you're making it at first, there'll be a page that just says like 2 buttons, like quit or create a new repo, and you click it from there. But if you already have one, it's going to be whatever current repository is open, and you're just going to click this drop down, and this like side thing's going to come up. Then you can click add if you want to create a new one. So create a new repository. We're going to call it the same name as the folder. Oh, not test. We're going to call it demo, because it needs to be the same name as this folder, and then in the path to it, but not with it included. And then you can do get, ignore, or license if you want. I don't care about that. It's not too important. And we created it, and it should, let's go in. We should be able to test it now. So at first, nothing's going to happen because it only detects changes in your files, not the actual files themselves. So we're just going to go over here. This is the hierarchy of just like, it's called the scene tree, or, you know, it's a tree of nodes within the game world. So we're just going to, as a test, create a new blank node with nothing in it. It's just a node. It's literally, there's no parameters to it. And we're going to hit, I'm going to hit Command S, it's probably Control S on Windows to save this. And now it's saved, and in GitHub, it noticed that we have a change here. You made a node. And right down here, there's a little box you put to say what you did. So like created node, and you have more description here. And you hit commit to main to like lock in your change, and it'll put it on your repository. So now if we go over to history, we have the initial commit, which is just the base. It's just the file how it was. And now we have the node that we created as a separate thing. Now let's say I regret my decision of creating this node and I want it gone. I could just delete it, but let's say I made 20,000 nodes with a bunch of crap, as I can't just delete it all. I need to undo everything I did. We're going to do revert changes. You're going to right click on this and you're going to go down to revert changes and commit. And then we should be able to go here and it should detect it, but it didn't. I might have clicked the wrong one. Hold up. Maybe.
Also might just have to reopen, like close Godot and then open it again.
Well, Godot has a thing where it should automatically say that
audio?
there's incoming changes. I might have just clicked, it might be revert changes and commit. I thought that's the one I did. Undo commit? Is that the one I wanted? Uh-oh. Undo. Yeah, that's weird. It's not detecting it. Let me try this again, but I'm going to try undo. So GitHub should detect these changes. Yep. No, not that. Okay, let's make another change. I added a window. Hooray. Save that. GitHub detects it. Window. History. If I want to undo it, I'm going to click undo commit. There we go. I think that's it. Yeah, that's weird. It's not. I tested this last night and it worked. That's weird. Is the window still there? Weird. I must be doing something wrong. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was revert change. There we go. I don't know why it didn't work the first time. So yeah, you click revert change, as I said like a minute ago. For some reason it didn't work the first time. I don't know why. I probably did something wrong. And it says the following files are newer on your disk. What action should be taken, and it tells you what's being changed. There's discard local changes and reload, and there's keep local changes and overwrite. You probably want to click this one if you made a commit or a revert. Actually, only if you made a revert, this should pop up. If you didn't make a revert and this pops up, you might want to be more wary of just hitting this button because it might be something else, on your OS changing files around. So I'm going to hit discard, and now it reverted it to my first node. There we go. It works. Yay. Okay. Now let's get let's publish this. Let's make a box and a camera, and we're going to build it to actually make a runnable program. So we're going to go we're in 3D view. I guess we'll do a 3D. We'll do a 3D game. We have this node. We probably don't want this node. I'm gonna make a 3D scene node. And this is just a node that has 3-dimensional properties that allows you to do 3D stuff with it. And we're gonna add a child node. And this is gonna be, let's see, let's go down to node 3D. What is it called? I don't know the 3D name for it. I only know 2D. Ooh. Mesh instance 2D. Why am I in 2D? What the heck? I clicked on it. I'm stupid. I'm looking for mesh instance 3D or something similar to that. We'll get the camera 3D in. We're going to need a camera, and this should be able to see our stuff. So the camera, obviously, it works as a camera. Pretty self-explanatory. We're going to get collision polygon 3D, collision shape. So that's for collisions, but rendering is separate from collisions. There's not just like a box that has collisions and rendering like as one thing. They are two separate nodes. I don't know where the thing is. I forgot what it was called, so I can't search it.
I think it's just mesh.
Mesh?
Instance still.
Mesh instance 3D, there we go. It's probably under some like thing. So there's a mesh instance 3D. It has no data in it. It's all empty. So right here, this is the mesh shape that we want. So let's do a new box mesh. And there we go. We have a box. And I'm going to hit this play button up here, and it should, well, I know what's going to happen, but it should run. And it's going to, oh, I see. That's a nice text box. So we don't have a main scene. Think of it as there's scenes, which is like this node 3D over here. That's our scene. It's not our scene yet, but we're gonna make it a scene. And think of a scene as just like a level. You can go to a different level and it loads. Everything is different. So you can't have two scenes loaded at once. It's just like the overhead for the whole entire scene tree, right? So.
Is it like 1-1, like in Mario or something?
Yeah. So it depends on how you structure your code. If you're doing, so look, there's a bunch of nodes here, and this is the parent node. Above that, it's not visible, but there's like a container for what could be a scene, or I could turn this node into a scene, and you can load that scene. It's kind of, we'll have to explain this tomorrow. I didn't prepare this. Anyway, it wants your default scene, and think of it as like the main function in your code. It's like, it's the entry point. We need an entry point. We need our entry scene, the first scene that loads, and with all the nodes in the scene. It's kind of weird. It was hard for me to learn at first. A node and a scene can be two things at once or the same thing. It's kind of complicated, so we'll go into it later. Anyways, we want this node 3D to be our main scene, the entry point of our program. So we're going to hit select current, because that's the current scene open. And now it is our main scene. And it's loading. Cool. What is going on? Okay, there we go. It's just taking a while. Let me launch it. There we go. We have a cube. I mean, the perspective's not that good because the camera's right up against it. Let's move it up. We're going to rotate it. And we're going to hit the play button. So there we go. No shading, nothing on it, but it does render. So this play button loads the main scene, and this one loads the current scene. We'll get into that later on why that's useful. So we're going to build this. We're going to go up to Project. We're going to click Export. And we're going to click Add. Actually, this is crazy that it's working. I thought I'd have to import this. Hold up. So their first time doing it, you're probably going to have to import the export files, the files that are needed to make the export happen. So you go to Editor and you go to Manage Export Templates, and you'll click Download and Install. I don't know if it's installed, so we're just going to do it just in case. And that might take a little time, but you're going to go up to Project and you're going to go to Export. And you're going to click Add and whatever OS you want to export to. For me, I'm going to do Mac OS. And for macOS at least, you're gonna get this error because of some texture stuff. At least it tells you how to fix it though. That's pretty nice. Rendering textures VRAM and then you toggle that. It could just like throw some random code and then I'd have to like go in Stack Overflow, but it actually tells me what to do. Is this going good? Hold up. Okay, that's installed. So we're gonna go listen to it because I have to. It is a little annoying, but I don't know, Mac. Developing on Mac is kind of lame. We're gonna go down to rendering, wherever it is. Oh, this is editor settings. Oh yeah, there's 2 different settings menu. This is gonna be confusing if you don't know this. Godot and then editor settings, that's just like the look of the editor itself. And then there's project and then project settings. That's gonna be the actual like files that your game's gonna export with and all that stuff. Editor settings is just Godot and it's the same across multiple projects. So we're gonna go to project settings and we're gonna go to rendering. For me, it's gonna be, what is it gonna be? Textures. And then there's also advanced settings here that like to hide a lot of settings, which I don't really like, so I like to keep this on, so I get to look at all the nice settings. And I'm gonna turn these 2 on. It's gonna require a restart. It's pretty fast though. It launches nice and quick. Unreal Engine takes like, you gotta go eat lunch when you launch it, and then come back, and then you'll be able to code. So, let's go try this again. Project, export, macOS. Make sure Runnable's selected. And it's gonna give this error. And it's gonna be, I don't know if this is the same on Windows, but it's this bundle identifier. It's some like library, like cache stuff, something like that, like cache files, I think. Something weird, low level, and annoying. So I'm gonna do com.example.game. So you do com and then your name and then the name of your game. So com.Aiden Gray. Technically you can put anything there, I think, but this is demo. And now I should be able to click export project. Don't click this, that exports it as like a zip file that's not runnable. You're gonna do export project. I'm going to change my file path. Actually, I'm gonna leave it there. It's better to export it in your actual game file, so it's just all in one nice like package. And it has a bar, which is nice. I didn't have that before. It was just blank, and you're just like, is it done yet? Yeah, I think something with Zoom or something is making it slow, because I don't really get that, like, what's it called? It's called a throbber, technically. It's kind of a weird name for the spinny thing. I don't know why they named it that. Anyway, so it should have, now it's in my project file, the executable. So if we go to demo, there's demo.dmg, that's what it is on Mac. You open this and then your executable will be in here. And it should run. Yeah.
Connected to your desktop, right?
What?
Connected to your desktop?
My desktop?
Yeah, everything is on your Mac or you?
Yeah, everything's on my Mac.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then I don't know why it's.
There we go. And this is a file that you could send to anyone. So now let's say we want this on itch.io. Go to itch.io. We're gonna go to game jams and we'll see if the one I put up here is here. No, it's kind of, I don't know if I made it so you can search it. Let me make a new personal window, hold up. So I'm already in my account so I can get to it quick. So we're gonna upload it to ItchHub. Just say you go through the jams and you join a jam you like. It'll show you, let me show you actually. It'll show you the jams you joined and the jams you submitted to. But for me, I'm going to go to, where am I going to go to? Where's my jams? Here we go. I made a default jam just to test this, to demonstrate it. I'm going to click join, and now I'm in. I have to submit it by then or else the submission's closed and I cannot submit it. I'm going to click submit my project. We're gonna do upload a new project. You can upload it separately, and then, so that's what that was, that drop down. Those were my games I already had. If you can upload a game separately and then just submit an already existing game to a game jam. Sometimes it's allowed in the rules, sometimes not. But we're doing a new project. We're going to call it demo. We're not going to put a URL, a cover image, nothing like that. We're just going to keep it as simple as possible. There's pricing. You could have $0 to donate. This will have a pop-up like, hey, do you want to donate? And you could say yes or no. Or you could have it so no one can donate. Or you can make it paid. We're going to do no payment. Then we're going to go to uploads. We're going to click upload file. We're going to go down to our image. You're going to click Mac. And some of these, you can actually, so there's one in Godot, I'll show you in a sec actually. You can upload, it's like HTML, something like that. You can run it in browser, and a lot of game jams will require that. So it's a little different with that. There's some, you have to like zip it in a certain way, and you can upload that and then it'll run in browser. But for now, we're just going to do it so people would have to download. We're going to click upload. Oh wait, sorry, no. That's uploading our files to itch, sorry. I need to go down here and then save and view page. They won't let you make the page public unless you've seen it once at least. So now you've seen it, you're gonna go back to edit game, and then you can go down and now you can make it public. So we're gonna save it. And now if we go to the game jam, let's go down to mine. I can read submissions, and there it is. It's online and people can play it, and I should be able to download it wherever it is. Oh, view game page. For me, it's view game page. You should automatically be taken to this. And download, and it should be able to download on, we'll be able to run it. Allow. And yeah, it's gonna give you some like ad pop-up, and you just ignore it. And then here we go. Not opened. Oh, can never. This is Mac thing. It's you have to go into your settings and you have to go down to privacy, privacy and security, and then you go down to this. Oh, demo app is being protected by your Mac. It thinks it's a virus because Mac. And there we go. Congratulations, me. So. That's how you make a game, build it, and publish it on itch.io. Steam is a lot more involved. We're not even going to get into it. So next week, we're going to actually make a game that's an actual game. That's not just a box, and we're going to talk about the code that goes into making the game. This is just an overview because there's a lot of people like, I know how to code, but I don't even know like how to do the game part, or like, just the engines and like uploading it and making a file. All that stuff is just, it's a lot. So we're gonna get into the other stuff later. Any questions? Yeah.
What language does Godot use?
Oh, I was gonna get to that, I forgot. So there's two main languages. Actually, there's two languages. The engine was written in C++, but you don't need to know, you don't need that. In engine, you're gonna be using, actually, yes, so they have two. They use C++ in engine as well. So they have documentation. Their documentation's nice. Hold up, I'm getting ahead of myself. They have C# and GDScript. GDScript is their own language that they made custom for Godot. I learned GDScript. I recommend you learn GDScript. If you have like very strong C++ knowledge, you might just use C++ and you'd be fine. But if you don't know it and don't want to learn it, just learn the language that's made for the engine. Their documentation's very nice because it has it in GDScript and C++. Or maybe it was C#. Let's find out. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's go to like, I don't know, manual, 2D, physics, 2D meshes. Oh, I need like a code example. I'm gonna just look it up.
High-level multiplayer is one of the doc pages that I know that has lots of code on it.
Ooh, okay, hold up.
You can probably search that one.
Multiplay. I'm not good at typing, hold up. Multiplayer, high level multiplayer, we'll start with that, I guess. Here we go. C Sharp. Okay. So okay, I got it right now. The code base was written in C++. So that's if you go to like their Git repo. The repo's on GitHub, by the way. Another reason you should use GitHub. And you could clone it and do whatever with it. But actual scripting is in C Sharp and GDScript. Unity also uses C Sharp. I could have probably, because I jumped from Unity to here, I probably could have kept it in C Sharp, but GDScript has some strange syntax. Question?
Another thing is that the C Sharp is only available with the net version on Windows, as far as I know.
Really? I don't.
Yeah, you have to download a different engine build.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that.
So if you wanted to script in C Sharp, then you would need to get the net version.
Okay. Interesting. Well, that's good to know. What else? What else is there? Any questions? No? Oh, another thing. Are you guys interested in doing a game jam? By a show of hands, who would like to participate in a game jam? Okay, 8 of you. I think we can get one set up. And next week, I think. So I'll do the presentation next week and everything. Then I'll announce the game jam and what it's going to be. Yeah.
Do you think you're gonna go over like using the GitHub repository
Yeah.
stuff again next week?
Yeah. Okay, I can do that.
'Cause I kind of got like lost.
Yeah, I did go a little quick, but I could. Yeah, I'll go over again. Oh yeah, it's also recorded, and also I could help you. You could also message me. It's just Hayden Gray #0 on Discord, or you could. I'm gonna be here, so you can just say hi. What else? I think I don't know. I think that's it. Yeah.
That's it, yeah, good, yes.
Nice.
Great presentation, yes.
I do recommend the Brackeys Game Jam. It's pretty good, and also GMTK Game Jam. Okay, I'm gonna go to the Zoom. I'm gonna unplug the HDMI.